Hello dear friends, it's good that you've joined me again. And you see in the back we got this very old church. Yesterday we were in the church and we did a film in the church, and this church was built in the 11th or 12th century, and for hundreds of years people gathered here together to worship Jesus. That is a big inspiration for me, although as I said, the church isn't being used, the building isn't being used at this moment because the population in this area is very, very sparse and there are not many people who now live here. So let's go back to our devotions, and we were looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and we saw that God has determined times and seasons for our lives because he wants to do something in our life. And we also had a look at what he was doing. I gave you 4 different things that why God is working in our lives. And let me please just continue on this theme. And God's seasons, the times that he lets us go through, God's seasons offer for eternity. If you just look at verse 14, you can see that. And it is Solomon who wrote the Ecclesiastes, and he said, I know that whatsoever God does, it shall be forever. Whatever God does is forever. God is not doing any work in our lives just for the next 5 minutes, not even for the next 5 years, but he's doing it forever, because we're going to live forever in eternity, and things that we learn today will be of value forever and ever. The crisis that we are experiencing at the moment, it's never for nothing. It's because God is working something in our lives. It's tied up to eternal purposes, and that should really focus up. Now the next thing is we see that again in the second part of verse 14, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It says that God, nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken away from it. That is, we cannot alter, we cannot change the purposes of God, the times and the seasons that God is taking us through. Nothing can be added or taken away. You don't expect some things, some seasons, and you pray and you try to ask God to take them away. You know, Paul had went into some kind of a season where he said there was a thorn in his flesh, and he prayed 3 times that God would take it away. But God said to him, you know, my grace is enough for you, so just live from my grace. And that is, it's something here, because God is working something beautiful in our lives through all the things that we are expecting. We don't see that very often. We just look on the outside. We see that man is very fragile. We see that we are living in weakness, and we don't realize the strength that God is building and the beauty that God is building within us. Now my third point, and that's point number 7 now, is that God lets us go through these times and seasons in our life so that we might fear him and that we might draw closer to him. God has done it so that man might fear him. That's what the last part of verse 14 says. So when we go through difficult times, I mean, I keep saying difficult times, but sometimes these seasons are good times. But it's when we go through difficult times, we sometimes start to blame people for that. Or when we go through difficult times, we take on a mindset of being a victim. But you know, we just can't do life without God. So don't get into the blame game and don't get into the victim mentality, because what we should do, we should realize God is at work in our lives, and that should awaken the fear of God in us. And the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. In Psalm 31, David wrote, and he says, don't let me be put to shame, because I take refuge in you. And in verse 14 of the same psalm, he says, I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hand. And so, dear friends, I just want to encourage you, whatever you're going through at the moment, is it a good time? Great. Is it a difficult time? But whatever time it is, just put your times in the hand of God and realize that He is working something for you. So God bless you. I hope you have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow if you come and join me. And by the way, we're a little bit distracted during this morning's recording, and this is why it was so.